Today we have 2 mystery comic book packs. I picked these up at Ollies, and I picked them out because I liked this foil cover and this vintage cover. So let's open these up. The first comic is Supreme. It also has foil lettering. It's by Image, and it has a very thick, rigid cover. Back has some comic ads on it. It's from 1992. Image Comics presents Second Coming. So, it starts out in outer space, and we get some pretty cool 1990s art on matte paper. This kind of reminds me of a Eternals or Titans kind of story. This guy looks a bit like Thanos. Sort of an Adam Warlock feel to the whole thing, or Guardians of the Galaxy. And I've never actually heard of this series. Some unfortunate artwork here. I know that's supposed to be feet, but looks kind of bad. The 90s wasn't exactly the best time period for comic book art, and of course today is even worse. So, I mean, that's not always the case. Some of it is really good. Some of it's really lazy too. That just looks bizarre. And may also possess great weakness. And Youngblood number 0 at the beginning, showing the characters. Bloodwolf, Infinity, Strange Interlude, and then that's the end. No color on the inside cover. Okay. The next comic is DC. The Homage Project. Looks a little more recent. On the back there's an ad for Stridex for acne. Longer lasting juicy fruit. And this is a Batman comic, which is cool. In fact, you got some of the Justice League here. Arrow, Green Arrow, Green Lantern, Robin and Nightwing, Two-Face, Wonder Woman, Poison Ivy. This is an ad for War of the Worlds. Batman Begins. This is Magic the Gathering. Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, the video game. And that's the end of that one. Look at the wallpapers for your, I guess it's for cell phones. It says text 75555 star. I'm not sure. Technology moves so fast. Next is Free Comic Book Day. Archie Blue Ribbon presents Riverdale, the ties that bind, and Betty and Veronica. Archie's one of those weird things that's just been sort of repurposed and just, you know, executed and then reanimated into sort of a undead version of itself in lots of ways. Ridiculous CW car shows. See sexless videotapes. This is not the Archies I grew up with as a kid. I think for a hot second, a few years ago, they even made a Christian reboot of the Archies. So they have done so many things to repurpose this. And this is Betty and Veronica that's done like almost like anime or manga or something, and it looks kind of ridiculous. I've heard that manga is outselling American comics, and now they're probably advise their writers and their staffs to make it look like manga instead of make good comics, because that seems to be the quick fix solution. And here we get to the dark and gritty Riverdale. It's Jughead with his hat. They're trying so hard to make him look cool. It's just stupid. I mean, this is a character from the 50s who was supposed to be a slacker with his like pork pie hat kind of thing, and how they try to make him look dark and disturbed, and it's just beyond ludicrous. I don't quite understand the CW, although I heard that the CW is not doing very well as a network right now. With Supernatural gone, they don't really have anything to carry them anymore, except a lot of subpar shows. See, trolling down the Archie rabbit hole is just more depressing than anything else. Next is Boston Metaphysical Society. Very rigid comic. On the back we have Ogre, Hope, Monsters. I'm trying to see if I recognize any of these. Dead End Kids. I've seen a few of these. It's 2019. Pre-COVID. The artwork is not particularly good. It always kind of looks like some kind of crowdfunded thing that people paid $25 to get this, you know, and it turns out poorly printed, poorly lettered. It just seems very like a waste of space. There's so much space they could have done interesting things in, and it's not happening. If they had spent more time doing good artwork. Early, we got some concept art and this ash can thing. Learn how to make comics. Terra Quill. And that's spectacular. Next we get another one of the Archie rabbit holes. Archie Horror, Chilling Adventures with Sabrina. And I do like the cover, I will admit. It looks like a gothic romance cover. It's printed on this very cool hard matte finished paper. And the back of it is not a typical comic back, but looks like the back of a novel. So I do appreciate the effort put into the outside of it. I just chugged the last of my coffee there. Okay. I do like this comic just for aesthetically, just the art. I like that. The art inside is Eddie Munster. Art inside's pretty good. This seems familiar. I might have already looked through this one in another video. I'm not sure. The Eddie Munster character seems quite familiar to me. There's some pretty explicit pictures in this for a franchise that was designed for kids. Yeah, pretty explicit stuff. Goodness gracious, this is, yeah, I do remember this comic for this really gratuitous scene right here. And I think it ended up in these packs because this is a little over the top for a comic book with the Archie name on it. And then we get innocent little Sabrina comic here, done in the classic style. Yeah, and then we get an ad for Riverdale. So interesting. Next is another one. Dark Circle Comics presents The Mighty Crusaders #1, A New Beginning. The Mighty's team of superheroes. So it's an Avengers ripoff from 2018. We have the Shield, Jaguar, Steel Sterling, the Comet, Firefly, and Darkling. The style of art reminds me a little bit of Squirrel Girl. Oh, it's supposed to be Reagan. So they're doing a little bit of the Watchmen too. This is very Watchmen-esque. Now we get some ads for Archie's, Marvel, Thor, more Archie stuff, the Shield, Riverdale again, more. Goodness gracious, they're pushing the Archie. Okay, another Archie rabbit hole. Here is What If. Obviously this comic pack was put together before the TV show came out. Now this comic would never be put in one of these packs because people probably be looking for this on eBay. But this is What If by Marvel. Fairly old. And we see the Hulk fighting Greyhawk. Something with Iron Man. And it looks like one of the Watchers and Spider-Man and Lizard. The back of it, an ad for Captain Crunch. Iron Man 2020, which is also the name of a comic right now. What if the Iron Man of 2020 had been stranded in the past? Tony Stark is... Let's show some domestic violence here. Young Guns for 93, Flair Football. Here's an Incredible Hulk What If. What if Rick Jones remained the Hulk? That's the leader, I think. And here's Spider-Man versus Lizard. What if Spider-Man killed the Lizard? Here's a little eye candy fan service that they put in. And Saved by the Bell, the college years. Can't believe he's dead now. Whoa. Okay. That was What If. Here's another free comic book day. Help the CBLDF defend comics. This is 2015. Defend Comics Free Comic Book Day 2015 edition. Doing a little of that manga Japanese style stuff here. It seems like a grab bag, like a compendium of different comics actually. None of them look all that good. Yeah, Archie ripoff. We've been down the rabbit hole. Now here's a ripoff of Archie. A blatant ripoff. And more Archie rabbit hole. Man, you just can't get away from Archie. I think this is a comedy comic though, so yeah, it's another one by the makers of the many Archies we've looked at in this video. This is Gutter Magic, Smoke and Mirrors by Comics Experience. And some gears on the back. Once again, the artwork's not bad, but it's not really my style. This is a 2020 comic. As I was saying, I don't think that a lot of the quality is gone in comics today, along with good stories, and that's why a lot of people are gravitating towards manga. Because manga has very fleshed out stories, and American comics don't always, and the artwork is sparse. And I mean, this might be a great story, but a lot of the times you see stuff that just doesn't grab you. Okay, and finally we're on the reason I bought this pack, or the reason I picked it out. It's this rigid cover, foil cover Avengers. Dissension. We've got Captain America and God, is that Falcon? I'm not exactly sure. I don't recognize the Mockingbird-like logo on his chest here. Let's see. Appearing from the shadows that separate alternate realities from Earth Prime, the Gatherers have been brought together by the mysterious enigma known as Proctor, merged with their mirror-like counterparts and directed towards the ultimate annihilation of the Avengers. What happened to each of their worlds that could cause them to hate our beloved Avengers? What acts of violence and chaos fuel their desires of death and destruction? What doom lies ahead on Earth Prime should their desperate acts fail? And look at the inside. That's kind of neat how the embossing sort of affects this Shock Tarts ad here that's done like a comic page. It's 1993. The Gathering of Hate. A Gathering of Hate. Brock's Rocks, chewy, fruity candies. I don't remember those at all. Football action so real it's bone crunching. From Acclaim. More Shock Tarts. Hear the sound razor sharp. A damnation claws make as they extract their revenge. It's gotta be Wolverine, yeah. Sega, X-Men. I played that game a lot when I was a kid. You see these baseball cards with the big heads? That's a style that's been done since baseball cards existed, when they were originally tobacco cards, and they did the big head thing all the way back in the 1800s. Fairly long comic. And we got free. Did I mention all this stuff is free? For Kool-Aid, Wacky Warehouse, and there's Crayola markers, Trolls, Game Boy cartridges, Hot Wheels, hacky sacks or Nerf balls, I don't know, Barbie dolls, watches. Okay, well that concludes part 1. This whole comic pack is done. And now we're going to open up part 2. And there's a Spawn Bible on the back of this. So the first comic that grabbed my attention was this vintage comic here. It has the old Spider-Man on the bottom, old vintage Marvel 50 cents Fantastic Four. On the back is that old scam when I was a kid that would have you sell greeting cards, and then you would try to get these prizes that were never as cool as they seemed. You know, like a bicycle. If you sell 70 items and you're not even gonna sell one, except maybe to your parents. You know, it's just. Here's another one. Prizes or cash. Sell personalized Christmas cards, gift wrap, stationery, and other gift items. And then they would pay you back with the cheapest garbage they could find. So this is Stan Lee presents the Fantastic Four, the Man with the Power. This is 19... That really looks like that's got to be 81. There ain't no way that's 61. Yeah. It just looks like it's printed weird. Nonetheless, this is fairly old. Now, pushing antique. Artwork's really good, actually. I mean, the drawing in it's really good. Coin collecting. 2 different silver nickels. 5 different foreign coins. See, I would love stuff like that when I was a kid. This was another ad. You would receive like these ships and planes, or sometimes they had soldiers, sometimes they had Revolutionary War soldiers. But if you would get them, they would come in a paper box, and they were flat. They were flat little plastic pieces. They weren't detailed or cool looking like they always showed. Slurpee, 1981 Slurpee. Probably a good serving size. Bubblegum. What flavors? It came in wild cherry, tropical fresh, bubblegum, strawberry grape, and that's either watermelon or wintergreen. I'm guessing probably some kind of mint, because they didn't really do watermelon flavor until around 1984 or 85. It's like they just didn't have it. And we got Spider-Man extra comic. And it's a computer. The living I'm Ego. That's if only I had this next issue. It'd be worth a lot, because this is what inspired Guardians of the Galaxy Part 2. I'm Ego. Oops. And 132 Roman soldiers. So, see, 2 complete Roman armies. Now that might actually be halfway interesting even now, because you would get, for $3, you'd get 4 generals, 24 cavalrymen, 4 cavalrymen with banners, 16 spearmen, 15 archers, 18 slingers, 4 chariots with drivers, 4 working catapults, 16 pieces of ammunition, 24 foot soldiers, and 4 buglers. See, that would have been halfway interesting. Next is Legion of Superheroes, another older comic by DC. This one was 60 cents. Note they both had that old comic book approved seal back then, because comic books were kind of a moral panic. They thought that they were making kids bad. Ooh, Dungeons and Dragons. That was another thing they thought was making kids bad back in the 80s. It's very controversial. This is I'm guessing 1982. This is the next year. Bubblegum again. It was spearmint. That's what the flavor was. Build and fly the Space Shuttle Columbia ended up crashing in 2006, exploding in the atmosphere on re-entry. The artwork in this is really cool, though, that good classic style on this newsprint kind of paper. Look at all the small variety of candy they had back then. It was like Lifesavers and Bubble Yum advertisers. Sergeant Rock. In the 80s, they were going to make this into a movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger, but it never happened. And another prizes for cash ad with the generic superhero, and you could supposedly get a bicycle or a pup tent or whatever for selling. What do they want you to sell? So cards and gifts from free sample book. Okay, they gave you a book of free samples. No, they gave you a free book of samples. You would get the stuff you wanted to try to sell, and then if you sold it, you would win these prizes, supposedly. And even if you did win them, they weren't that good. This is Aspen Comics Soulfire. And the back has some fan service. Rigid. So there's a thick cover here. It's pretty good artwork, I have to admit. Michael Turner Soulfire. No, the trade paperbacks. This is 2009. Comics were definitely different back then than they are today. There's lots of odd reasons for that. And lots of concept art. Next is Backtrack. This one seems familiar. Rick and Morty. These are like indie comics here. 2020. So this is like generally today. So let's note the differences. You will see them. Kind of on real, like sandpapery, matte, finished paper. And kind of a Joker character. Morning in America. Okay, next is Sabretooth. This is a Marvel character from X-Men. Mortal Kombat game on the back. So this is $1993. Is that, am I reading that right? Yep. Sequest DSV. Yeah, this is a long time ago. It's in really good shape. Never been touched. Cliff Notes. When you don't want to read the book, get Cliff Notes. Okay. Next is Kamui, an extraordinary man's bold and defiant stance against an unfair and repressive society, a genuine ninja story. 1987? No way. This doesn't look that old. This has got to be some kind of reprint. It's black and white. Maybe it is. Ninjas were all the rage in 1987, so this would have been a good time to do it. I think it's reprinted from a Japanese comic anyway, with this style. And it says, after more than a century of bitter civil warfare, the Japanese nation was unified in 1590 by the great military leader Hideyoshi Toyotomi. In 1603, Ieyasu Tokugawa became the shogun, and so began the Tokugawa era, a period of political stability and peace that lasted more than 200 years. So it's a little brief history. This is interesting. It's like a early, they didn't always print these things back in the 80s. Let's make sure we're not looking at a duplicate here. This is okay. This is a different Riverdale. It's got a matte finish cover again. This is one Archie rabbit hole video, let me tell you. And it's, well, I hate to say it, but it's not a coincidence that all these Archie comics have ended up in these $5 comic packs because they can't sell them. So that's really the bottom line. These packs and Ollies and Dirt Cheap and all these stores in general were products that fail go to die. So, and I can say that if you liked the Archies, you're not going to like this. And it's probably too dull for kids who didn't like the Archies. And the artwork's just not that good either. I mean, there may be a few fans, and I don't want to trash on your product, but this is not really going to appeal to people who read the old Archie's comic digest back in the 50s through the 80s. This is just too odd and too different for them. And it's also cringe and cheesy. Cringe is the appropriate word. It's very cringy. So this is supposed to be, this is the characters from the show. So Josie from Josie and the Pussycats. Archie, Betty, Veronica, Hermione. Oh boy. Jughead Jones. Jughead's favorite activities were eating, sleeping, and eating again. Besides his tremendous appetite, Jughead is best known for his gray beanie cap. He rarely goes anywhere without it. He's been known as a woman hater, but this is not exactly true. He just avoids complicated romantic situations. Beneath Jughead's exterior lies a sharp-witted and alert person, and he is constantly helping his best pal Archie out of his predicaments. In Riverdale, Jughead, played by Cole Sprouse, is a philosophically bent heartthrob who was once the best friend of Archie and who is now dealing with the rift that came between them. Oh my god. Jeez Louise. They are so good at running things nowadays. Okay, next is Titans with a photo cover. DC. Beats for reading comic books to... I have no idea what they're talking about. Oh, Beats. Headphones. Yeah, it's stupid name for headphones that they use now. We just called them headphones back in the day, but calling them Beats just sounds ignorant. But then again, it's the slang of today, and you know, in 80 years, people will look back nostalgically about how people talked like idiots, just like they did in the 20s. I still have never met a person who calls their headphones Beats. Unless it's actually the brand, like Beats by Dre or whatever that is. I don't know. But I've never met anyone who says, I'm going to put my Beats on and go to the gym. I've not met that person. This is very thin paper. Just like I've never met a person who put on their shoes and said, I just put my kicks on. I mean, you remember that movie, Juno? And they were like, when the movie came out, they were talking so much about the slang in it, and like, this is how kids talk nowadays. And hey, home skillet and all that stuff. See, and then it turned out that no one actually talked like that. That the movie was just trying to like introduce a new lingo to be cool, like hipster talk or whatever, but really no one really truly talked like that, and it became a joke really quick. And you see that happen a lot. Like, they think that introducing slang is going to like be hip or cool, but it really, all it does is date you really quickly. So if you're making a product, avoid that trap, because you're just going to date yourself. That's why if you watch Juno now, you're going to cringe when you watch it, because all of the slang in it is just so stupid. I mean, it's just way stupid. Really freaking stupid. Just like kicks and beats and all of this other nonsense. Okay. Next is Monstrous Witch Hunt. Oh, this is another one of those. Source Point Press. This is going to be another, like, well, the artwork's kind of neat. I'll give it that. It's got evil nuns. And it's got Bambi. I kind of like the art, though. I will give it that. The art's just kind of cool. Okay. Neat. Now is our last comic. It is the Spawn Bible. So let's take a look at it. That's the back of it. This was printed in 1996, around the time the movie came out. That's Clown. I remember he was in the movie. John Leguizamo played him. I think this is just a guidebook. It's not really a comic. It's just like a character guide, which is interesting if you're a Spawn fan. Greg Capullo discusses Greg Capullo and Spawn. And we get ad for Curse of Spawn. A toy. An action figure. And that's it. That is all the comics I have for you today. And I hope that you enjoyed the video. And if you like my channel, please subscribe and click the bell icon so you'll know when I have another video coming. And thank you. And until next time, bye.